Hey guys, John here from Sonic Drive Studio. I hope you're all doing well and welcome back to the channel once again. In today's video, we're checking out the Empress Effect ParaEq Mark II Deluxe Parametric EQ guitar pedal. Now this pedal is a very powerful tone shaping tool, so I'm very excited to dive in and show you guys what this thing has to offer. The Empress Effects guitar pedals are really nice. In fact, I recently did a video of their Heavy Menace distortion pedal, which I recommend checking out up here or down here if you're interested. That was an excellent pedal. And by the way, this video is sponsored, but as always, all thoughts and opinions are 100% my own. Now, EQ pedals can be used for a wide variety of things. My primary use for them is to put them in front of an amplifier, a tube amplifier mostly, and to shape the tone of the guitar going into the amplifier. It can be very powerful that way. So kind of like a boost and a tone shaping tool in one. So that's my primary use of them, and that's what we'll focus on in this video. Of course, you can also use this pedal in your effects loop to sort of shape the overall EQ curve of the amplifier after the distortion, so to speak. It's also highly powerful when you use an EQ that way, but as I said, that's not what we're going to focus on today. Now I want to get started right away with a musical example of how I like to use this pedal, just so you guys can hear the pedal in action before we get into all the details and the nitty-gritty. So let's try this pedal in front of my Invaders 950 badass tube amplifier with my Gibson Les Paul Custom for some rock and metal riffs. We're going to do an A-B comparison basically. So check it out, and I think you'll hear a massive difference between the tone with the pedal on and the tone with the pedal off. Check it out. Alright, so as you could probably hear, this pedal makes a huge difference for the tone. It's almost as if you're listening to a completely different amp altogether. Really impressive. Now I really love this amplifier, this Invaders 950 badass. It's a very cool sounding amp with a very rich distortion and a very unique texture. It's very good for certain genres and for certain types of tones. However, the low end on this amplifier is quite loose and fat. And for metal and, high gain rock and stuff like that, a lot of clarity and tightness is usually preferred by a lot of players. So it's not an amplifier that's really well suited for modern metal by default anyway. So by putting the ParaEq Mark II Deluxe up front, we're drastically changing the tone of the guitar, hitting the amplifier. And this makes the tone much better suited for modern metal without putting any additional distortion up front. So we're just shaping the tone with the EQ and adding more level with the boost. I'll talk about the settings that I used in a moment, but first let's take a look at all the features and controls that this pedal has to offer. So this pedal is basically an EQ and a boost in one. And with this boost control at the bottom, you can control the amount of boost that the boost function adds. And it does add up to 30 decibels of clean headroom. Because this pedal operates at 27 volts internally, but you can hook it up with a 9-volt DC adapter at 300 milliamperes. You can turn the boost on or off with the left foot switch over here, and with the advanced configuration modes, you can also set it up so that this switch acts sort of independently, so that you can turn the boost on or off independently from the EQ. And I have it set up in the other way right now, where the boost only is active when you press it when the EQ pedal is active, basically. So you can also basically use this pedal just for the boost to add up to 30 decibels of gain, which is quite a lot. Now on top of the pedal for the EQ section, we have these 3 bands. And the normal version of this pedal, so the non-deluxe version, also has these 3 bands. And we have a low, a mid, and a high band. And each band has 3 controls. Each band has a Q control up top for changing the width of the Q. So you can go from a very wide bell all the way to the left to a very narrow bell all the way to the right. And then we have the frequency control, in which you can select the frequency which you are boosting or attenuating, and then the gain control with a range of 15 decibels up or down. So these 9 controls up top here are already quite powerful. However, the deluxe version adds these 4 controls down below as well for even more flexibility and even more tone shaping. We get a high pass filter all the way to the left, a low shelf filter, a high shelf filter, and a low pass filter all the way to the right. So that's just for really fine tuning the low and high end of your signal. Really nice. And these shelves and filters are very smooth and musical, so they will sound great when you crank them or really attenuate the signal. Another hidden feature, or advanced feature I should say, is that you can choose between true bypass or buffered bypass. And as a bonus, I do think that this pedal looks absolutely nice. Really cool. Okay, so what sort of settings did I use for the first demo? Well, without the pedal on, the amp didn't really have enough gain. And as I said, the low end was quite loose and sort of fuzzy sounding, and there wasn't enough definition in the mids, basically. And not enough clarity and bite and string definition and aggression, basically, for that heavy and modern metal tone that we wanted. So for starters, I used the boost function to add a little bit of gain to the signal. I used the high pass filter, the low shelf, along with the low frequency band to trim the low end a bit. This basically makes the low end more tight and gets rid of all the looseness. I boosted the mids at around 1K or so to add definition and punch to the tone. And this kind of mimics that mid hump that you get when you use a tube screamer. And for extra clarity, I also added some highs with the high band as well as with the high shelf. Now I want to try something similar with similar settings, but this time with another type of guitar, an extended range guitar, an 8-string to be precise. Now extended range guitars, like an 8-string for example, often require some drastic tone shaping for the guitars to fit the mix well and to get that great clarity of those super low notes. So again, clarity is the key word here. Now the amplifier that I want to use here is my ORNG Rockerverb 50 Mark III, a great sounding amplifier with a very rich distortion and a great texture. But it's not really the first amp that you'd think of for an extended range guitar, to be honest, because of that looseness and that sort of fuzzy tone. An amazing sound and a very classic sound too, but not super well suited for modern metal by default. Now this pedal will change the tone quite drastically so that it works really well with this 8-string guitar, which is my Ibanez M80M Meshuggah 8-string to be precise. And I'm going to go through the dirty channel of the amplifier, of course. Let's take a listen to that A-B comparison again with the pedal on and off, so you guys can hear what sort of difference this pedal makes. Check it out. Wow, what a difference, right? Night and day. So with the pedal on, the amplifier sounds much, much better for that extended range tone and for that 8-string guitar and that modern metal. It's much more tight and focused, and the mid-range is much more clear and defined, and it's more aggressive sounding and more in your face, basically. Now what I want to do is give you an idea of the range of all the controls and how they sound and how they react in this scenario, so in front of an amplifier. And I'll use the Orange Rockerverb once again, but this time on a slightly mid-gain crunch tone. And the guitar that I'll use is my ESP LTD NW44, and I'll just loop some riffs and then tweak all the controls so you guys can hear how they react. Check it out. Alright, so that's the awesome and very powerful Empress Effects ParaEq Mark II Deluxe. This pedal is just great, it looks great, and it's very well built. It also has some great extra features. It's also very low noise. So yeah, I recommend checking out these pedals at the Empress Effects website, which I will post in the description below. Definitely check this pedal out if you want to take complete control over your guitar tone. And thanks so much to the guys at Empress Effects for sending me this pedal and for sponsoring this video. Definitely let me know in the comments, guys, what you thought of this pedal. That's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and that you found it useful. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below, as that really helps the channel out. I'd hugely appreciate that. And of course, you can also follow Sonic Drive Studio on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Cheers!